This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Oh, isn't that hair fabulous? Broadcasting live from the new hotspot on Fort Myers Beach. Wahoo Willies! It's time for another exciting award-winning episode of Beach Talk Radio. Here are your humble hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
Huh?
Are you pointing to people now?
I did not have to ask people to applaud. They just simply love you and your hair. Welcome to Wahoo Willies, everybody, and welcome to another Saturday. A great show lined up for today. For those of you in the back that don't know who we are, we're Bart Simpson and what was Bart Simpson's wife's name? Does anybody know? Marge Simpson. And Marge Simpson, and we do we call it a radio show, but it's really a Facebook Live YouTube show every Saturday about stuff going on Fort Myers Beach. And there's a lot of stuff going on. In case you didn't notice, a little storm hit Fort Myers Beach, and there's some things going on that we want to keep everybody up to date with. We did a walk around this morning on the south end with Councilman John King. So if you missed that, you can go back in the archives of the videos. We looked at all the condos. We had a nice interview with an 83, I think he said it was 83-year-old man who he built a house for his daughter many years ago, and it withstood the storm. So they were out there clearing it up, which was interesting because on every side of where their house is, all the other houses were gone. They were either demolished or knocked down. And
was it a new built to code, or was it an older home?
It was an older home that that withstood the storm, but they were out there. And the other interesting thing that I saw today was that wow, that's a big dog right there. Did you see the size of that dog? That was like a horse. That dog was so big. I mean,
a mini horse.
Wow, that dog was gigantic.
A Shetland pony.
What kind of dog is that?
No, that's the Schoonovers. That's their Great Dane.
Oh, the Schoonovers. I see. All right. So as I'm driving back from the end of the island, I see this lady like out in front of her house, and she's watering her grass. Like the grass was this big, but she was out there with the hose watering the grass. You don't see any grass in many places on the beach right now, which was cool. So before we get started with Ben, I wanted to apologize to the folks this morning that were watching that I yelled at people early this morning. We have this issue with the walk around videos and the bike videos, in that when we're trying to talk to somebody, you can't really hear the other person. Because, we're doing this on Facebook. We're a dinky little podcast. We don't have these expensive
phone, and the phone
we're doing it on the phone. And so somebody mailed us these really nice wireless microphones with a connector that you put in your phone. Well, we tested it out totally sober last weekend, and we couldn't get it to work at all. Like we're walking around the house, and you minute you went on Facebook, it wouldn't work. But if you did it in a recording, it worked fine. It sounded great. But the minute that you go live on Facebook, the microphones wouldn't work, which made no sense. Now I'm calling everybody that I know that's in the tech industry, trying to figure out why we can't get these microphones to communicate with Facebook. And the first thing that happened this morning was people are yelling at me like, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. So I put the phone up to my face like this. I'm like, I'm trying to fix the effing microphones. I can't figure out how to fix them. I'm working on it. Stop. So I know you don't. So I apologize to everybody this morning about that, but we are working on it.
Wow. You need to dial it down a little bit. Dial it down.
Was that too much?
That was too much.
Was that overboard?
Oh, you guys just are too nice. You don't want to say anything. Then you take him home. He's coming with you guys for the rest of your vacation.
Where do you guys want to go? Oh, I see. We're friends to a certain point,
Sorry,
and then
folks.
After that, it's over.
So
I
said that he was going to have to go with these fine folks from last week, and she immediately said, "Nope, it's too much." She changed her vote.
One last thing before Ben comes on, big congratulations to Tom at La Ola. They opened up their location in Bell Tower. It's fabulous. They had Chasing Denver, a great band. A little too mushy for me. They're too much in love. There were a lot of lovey-dovey stuff between the two of them, but they
both have great voices.
Yeah,
though
yeah.
they can sing. I mean,
Yeah.
it was very nice to have them on. Hopefully, we can have them on again because
we need to do like the
good,
speed
yeah.
round questions with them, the
Yeah,
newlywed questions.
yeah.
Like we can't do them with Ben. We've done them with Ben before. So if you hadn't had a chance to go down there, how you doing, sir? Good to see you. It's in Bell Tower, and they're open at 7:00 in the morning for breakfast, and they stay open till 11:00 at
They
night.
have some great specials.
Yep.
So check
The
them
food
out.
is great, so
Food
please
is
go
great.
down and support
The
them.
decor is amazing.
Yeah, they did a great job.
They
so
really did
Scott
a
Allan
nice
did some
job.
work there, and he'll be on at 11:30. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for a repeat guest. It must be 5 or 6 times that he's been on. Ben Duval from Tuna Skin. Oh, look at you! You've got a
Look
big.
at that. Oh,
Yeah,
We
there you
good?
go. Yeah,
check,
you
check,
are
check.
good,
Yes,
good, man.
beautiful. We're on.
So, is this third or fourth time you think?
That I've been on.
Mhm,
At least.
mhm.
This is, like you said,
At
the
least.
6th, because we
Wow.
did. This will be the 2nd year that we've restarted our grouper grapple. I was also on here for the
Other
the Mid-May
Mad
Madness.
Mhm.
And so this is probably the 5th or 6th time.
We should give you an award or something.
I love awards. Anything I can put on my refrigerator would be great.
Just for withstanding him.
Oh, it's
Perfect.
good. It's good. He doesn't have sleeves on today. He's in a better mood.
I ran in your shirt. Like the one time Ben came on, I don't know. I would think I was giving you some grief about making shirts or stuff, and you made us some really nice long
Mhm.
sleeve shirts
Still
with
have
our
those.
logo on them. And
I think it was something closer to, you guys make shirts and I don't have one of your shirts. Hint, hint. And so then the next time, amazingly enough, we made shirts for Ed and we gave it to him. So
Yes,
you ran in the shirt. How
I
was
did.
it?
It was great. It was totally wicking. It was totally
Beautiful.
wicking.
Totally wicking. We're going to use that one. It's totally wicking.
Great. Yeah. And you guys do a lot of cleanups
Wicked
too on the
wicking.
beach. That's another reason you come on.
Yeah, we did. Normally we do one cleanup every year for all of our retail locations. This year, obviously, Fort Myers Beach needed a little more TLC. So
yeah.
we've done a couple cleanups. We typically in Fort Myers, we partner with Keep Lee County Beautiful, which is,
Oh, yeah.
and then we donate all the proceeds to Keep Lee County Beautiful, which is great for them and to kind of keep the beach cleaning because they don't not only support us in our beach cleanup, but if you go onto their website, they have tons of cleanups even that they're not involved with. They just want everybody to get out there and do good
And clean up. And I want to, give a shout out to them today because they're doing a kayak cleanup. They're cleaning up the mangroves today from 8 to 12. So,
and I think it's funny when you follow all of these beach cleanups from the first one that started after the hurricane to now, they've kind of grown in intensity, and we started on the beach just picking up large stuff, and then one time you guys did a sidewalk cleanup, and then we're picking up small stuff. It's kind of evolving into, all right, what needs to get hit next?
Yeah.
right.
And I think it's great having an organization like Keep Lee County Beautiful where they can sit there and they're out there every day cleaning up with other people, and they can say, yeah, we do need to clean up, but this area is pretty good. Let's focus over here. Let's focus on the mangroves.
And the mangroves are rough.
Yep,
I mean, they are rough. So it'll be great to see how much progress they make over there, getting everything out and tagging the bigger stuff so that a bigger boat, because when I was out there, there's water heaters. I mean, there's some big stuff.
Oh, there's
up
a
in
lot of
there.
people. I work a lot in the our Sarasota retail location, and a lot of people go, oh, how was Fort Myers? I see everything's getting cleaned up.
Yeah, right.
nah.
It
Yeah.
is, but if you saw it before, you saw it after, yes, it's being cleaned up, but there's still a ton of stuff that needs to be done. And I don't think a lot of people, unless you're here in the thick of it, they don't really see all the stuff that still needs to be done.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, one last thing on Keep Lee County Beautiful. They lost their facility completely in
Yep.
Lee County. They weren't on the beach, but they were wiped out wherever their facility was. So they lost all their cleaning supplies and everything they had in their unit, wherever it was. So if you go on their website, you can donate to them directly. We donated all the brooms and shovels that we had people that donated to us from across the country for that sidewalk sweep that you were talking about, and we gave that all to them. But they're always looking for financial donations or the clear plastic bags that they always show up with. What's great about the cleanups when Keep Lee County Beautiful is involved is they come with everything. They come with the gloves and they come with the tweezer
pickers,
things,
yep,
the pickers, and with the clear bags, and you can give them right back to them so they can reuse them the next time. But they're always in need of help. So if you go onto their website and you want to give them a donation, they're really great people. I mean,
Yeah.
they're so dedicated to that cause.
And the other thing to note too, a lot of the people that come to the cleanups for Keep Lee County Beautiful are volunteers themselves.
Yeah.
Keep Lee County Beautiful, they work on a very, very thin budget.
Mhm.
And so a lot of the people you see that are representing them are not employees. They're not getting paid. They're coming out to do good too. So
Yeah. So let's talk about first, before we get to the group
Yeah.
or grappler, you guys were hammered. You lost your building over here on
we
Estero
lost,
Boulevard.
the building is still standing.
Okay. Wow, that was a pretty
Welcome to the beach.
cool. Yeah,
That was a beach buggy.
Yeah,
it
You don't
was
see
with
those a
little
lot.
kids in the
Yeah.
back. They weren't wearing helmets or anything.
Of
They were
course
just holding
not.
on for dear life.
Oh, stop.
I mean, how fast was that little dune buggy going on the old San
20 miles an
Carlos?
hour.
No way. That thing was going 70.
Oh,
70 down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, did you know that a sea turtle can go like 700 miles an hour from here to Key West? I mean, those suckers can fly.
mhm.
700 miles
I mean,
an hour.
they did you guys know that those sea turtles can really fly? Like
Yeah.
when they get in the jet stream,
Here
they're
we go again.
friggin'
The jet stream.
that pulls them all the way down to Key West. I mean, how do you think they survive?
Did you have an expert on last week, and those are the facts that you
Yeah.
learned,
Kevin
and now
Ruane.
he's just trying to reiterate the facts?
By the way, for those of you that don't know this, when Kevin Ruane, the Lee County Commissioner Kevin Ruane, was on the show last week, after
Am I
he
gonna
left,
have to,
after he
oh.
left the show, they had a big flat tire on their car out. They had their car was a piece of metal this big from the beach got into their vehicle
It was really
and totally flattened their tires. So
and did you go out and help?
oh
him?
hell yeah!
Yeah,
I mean,
there
of
you
course you feel bad because you
Yeah.
invite them down to the beach, and then we went out there. They had a spare tire actually that wasn't inflated. I've never seen a spare tire that didn't have air in it, so you actually had to have air put it. We had to put air in the
Mhm.
spare.
Well, they included the portable.
Yeah, and then you get a little
pump.
But that
portable
kind of
pump.
defeats the purpose. doesn't
Well,
it?
I think
mean,
it
they
just
say,
saves
hey,
space.
here's
But it
this, but
saves
here's a
space.
pump that
Yeah.
will take you an hour and a half to pump
No,
it up.
it was
and
one
then-
of those you plug it into the car, cigarette lighter,
and
and
then-
it was quick.
yeah.
It was amazing.
Well,
Yep.
it wasn't a 2003.
Right. It was a fancy
8.
car.
That my Hummer
It was a
out,
nice
out
car.
there is it a
2000?
2003 or 5?
Mhm.
It's totally leaking all the oil right now. So we're
Oh, well,
hoping
that's
that we'll
good.
be able to
That's
make
good.
it back without it exploding on the road. But anyway,
But not
I
to get off
brought oil.
subject.
no. What were we
So-
talking
I don't
about?
even
Oh,
know.
your
The
building.
The
Your building.
Yeah, our building. So if you guys have followed our Facebook or our Instagram, we did post a addition to that and kind of a walkthrough of where we are right now. And we do have floors. Yay.
Yay,
And the
yay.
crowd went wild. Yay. We do have floors. We're kind of remodeling. We took the hurricane as an opportunity to look at the layout of our store and our location and say, all right, what can we improve? Now that we have to redo pretty much everything, how can we improve it? Enhance the space. We're also looking at, we've started doing a lot of events in that space. Like when we did the Songwriters Festival, we invited some of the songwriters over and they performed in that space. So we're kind of looking at that area, our store, not just as a store, but as a space utilized for events and for people to come and kind of hang out and spend some money and have a good time. So it's really, we've been lucky because we kept our building. We didn't have to redo the whole thing, but like everybody here, it's always a process.
And you've had a you've been out front, so you've been able to still stay in business.
We
storefront here.
have. Obviously, there isn't the foot traffic and there isn't the tourism. The tourism is slowly coming back, but we were lucky enough. We had a couple months before we had purchased and retrofitted a trailer that we were using for all of our events, our big events. So the sides fold down. It runs on its own power if need be. We have Wi-Fi, we have speakers. It's essentially a portable retail space. And we were in that retail space after the storm at an event in Key West. And we all kind of looked at each other and went, we could put this right in front of the store in the parking lot. And you lose an entire store. That's a big chunk.
Right.
So the retail space, our portable retail store going in front, it helps out. And it was one of the first
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
that opened up
Oh,
on
yeah.
the
Yeah.
beach.
It might have been the
So-
first.
So we're cranking along as best we can.
What do you have for sale in that spot?
What do we have for sale? We do have a couple sale items. We also have some Fort Myers Beach Strong shirts. We've got a pier shirt that we just came out with a couple weeks ago. So we try and redo a different shirt for the area every couple months just to have something fresh in the area. We obviously are not able to put in everything that we have retail wise because it's a small space, but we try and put in as much as we can to kind of entice people and get them out to the beach. And everybody's got to go buy it or drive by it. And they'll stop by.
And the great thing about your shirts is they're made out of seashells, right? No. Well, I thought it was something like that.
They'd be a little scratchy if they were made out of seashells.
Didn't you say they were made out of seashells? You told me that.
What are you talking about?
They recycled something.
They are made out of recycled plastic water bottles, which is kind of cool. So
no kidding.
All of our shirts are all of our t-shirt styles. So our hooded shirts, our tank tops, our long sleeve, short sleeve, they're all made out of 100% recycled plastic, which is kind of cool. It's also, a lot of people think, plastic shirt, why would you ever wear a plastic shirt? The entire time they're wearing a polyester shirt or a rayon shirt. It's actually designed to pull the moisture away from your skin, to be cooling, to quick dry. So it's a performance shirt made for being out on the water, being at the beach. Takes the stink away. Takes the funk away. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so let's talk about the grouper grappler and
Grapple.
Oh,
There's
sorry.
not
Why
an R
don't I
on
say
there.
grappler?
That's
how
like a
many?
thing.
How many years
This is
has this been going on now?
We're
Ben?
on year 10.
Nice.
Wow.
Year 10. This is the 10th year of the grouper grapple. Now, if you're counting how many years from the time we started it, we're on 11, but we had to, obviously for COVID, we had to lose a year like everybody else did. That one year where everybody goes, was it 2000? Was it 2001? Was it 2002? 2020? We don't really know. So we lost a year there, but we are on our 10th year. And this year we have, in years past, our last 9 years, we have brought in veterans. We've partnered with a veterans organization to bring them in, and we host them for the weekend. We put them up. We put them in the tournament. They have a great time for the weekend. This year, since obviously people's lives have changed on Fort Myers Beach, we're doing things a little different. So this year we're donating our proceeds. We're going to keep the Jeff Somer Memorial Scholarship.
Tell
Jeff
everybody.
Somer was a track coach at the local high school here and has still influences. He passed away a couple years ago from cancer, but he still influences a lot of the people that started the tournament. They saw him as a mentor, as a influential figure, and so they wanted to put together this scholarship. And so we're still donating some of our proceeds to that scholarship.
And when you say here, not on Fort Myers Beach, because they don't have track, but where?
Estero High School.
Okay, Estero High School.
At Estero High School. So we're donating some of our proceeds to the Jeff Somer Memorial Scholarship, and some of the proceeds we are donating this year through a organization called Heart on Main to the Erickson and Jensen seafood market.
Oh, okay.
So that's a local, it's a local business. Obviously, if you guys are tuning in from out of town, they're one of the big seafood providers here in the area. They send their boats out, they bring them back, and they provide all the fresh seafood for not just this area, but around the U.S. So they're especially like the shrimp industry that got hit really hard from the hurricane. So we thought this year we would give back more locally to the community, give back to kind of a staple industry for the area that may be suffering a little. So that's going to be this year's beneficiaries.
Nice. And the grouper grapple is an offshore thing because the May one is.
So this year we missed the Mid-May Madness fishing tournament. That is our Tuna Skin hosts 2 fishing tournaments every year. The Mid-May Madness, which is an inshore beach fishing tournament. Right. So you don't have to have a boat. You don't have to have $600-700 worth of gas to get out there and all the tackle and equipment. All you need is a fishing rod and some lures. So you fish the beach.
And a bobber.
A little Snoopy rod.
I had to take it away from you.
It's not a Snoopy rod, Ben. How dare you insult me like that? But I do like to fish with a bobber.
A Zebco 303.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's our inshore fishing tournament. Our offshore fishing tournament is the grouper grapple. And so this is where people come from. We've had teams come up from the Keys, teams come down from Tampa.
What's the grand prize dollar amount somebody's going to win?
The grand prize dollar amount, I don't know this year. It all depends on how many participants we have. So we take everyone who's come to the tournament and paid their entrance fee, we have a first, second, and third prize for the biggest groupers, an aggregate. So the
what was the biggest grouper last time around?
Last year, actually, it didn't count towards the tournament, but one of the teams brought in a big Warsaw grouper that was probably the size of that Great Dane you saw out there.
Oh,
About that weight.
What
That would
is that?
freak me out.
Give us a rough idea.
It's so a fish.
I know what
it's
a
got
fish is, Ben. I know what a
Gills,
fish is,
got
Ben.
fins.
I want to know
like
what
125,
About
150.
125,
Wow.
150. This was a big fish. It
Yeah.
didn't count for the tournament,
Why?
but
Why?
because that wasn't one of the fish in the,
Oh, I
the
see.
Yeah,
categories.
Wow. If that was in the category, clearly the winner.
They would have walked away with everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So how do you even pull that in?
Slowly.
Oh, you need the chair for
You
that.
need the chair and the back brace
Yep.
and,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
the help of a couple strong people.
Yeah. So what was the total? Is that
Oh,
it?
wow.
I
That's a
see.
Goliath one.
Oh,
yep.
okay. Is that in the tournament, the Goliath grouper?
Grouper.
Yeah.
Actually, I believe Goliath grouper was taken off by Florida Fish and Wildlife
Oh, okay.
just about a month ago. They took it off.
Because it's going.
It's just for sustainable
I
resources
see.
where they every once in a while they'll lessen the amount that's being caught or lessen the season.
Yeah.
They'll bring down the season so people aren't catching too
So
many.
what
of them.
was the dollar amount that somebody walked away with in first place last time around?
Honestly, I don't know. I want to say it was somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000, maybe $5,000.
Okay. You run the tournament, right, Ben?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
don't you
We-
come prepared
give
with the
them
facts?
candy,
next
we keep
time?
all the
Candy,
money.
I see.
Yeah.
Good for you.
It's
got all the
different every
facts.
year and for everyone.
Right.
So we have three. We have first, second, and third for the largest groupers,
Gotcha.
and we have a first and second for the snapper.
Oh,
Red snapper season. So
Um,
it's a grouper tournament, but we wanted to kind of vary it up. The way that we set our tournament up is we have different species that you have to kind of be strategic when you go out fishing. You can't just go to your favorite spot and fish all day and come back and win it. You kind of have to jump around
because you have the different fish.
because we have the
Gotcha.
different species
Yeah.
that you got to be strategic and say, all right, we've got the biggest that we think will get in this spot. So let's go
Yeah.
hunt another species.
Yeah. So
Can I just ask how much?
It's
So how
totally
much is
your
the
show, dear.
Well,
You can
I
ask
don't
as
know.
many questions as you want.
You've had way too much Diet Coke, or I don't know. How much is the entrance fee?
Entrance fee, good question. Thank you for the transition. Entrance fee is
I mean, that was really a good question. I mean, that really is a basic
It's
question.
in an
Ben.
important one. Well, you just want to talk about your bobber and
No,
that's enough bobber talk.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
So the entrance fee.
Entrance fee is $600. That's the early entrance fee, and that is open now. You can go on to groupergrapple.com. You
That's
can go
per
on
boat?
per boat, per vessel. So each boat gets 4 participants for the $600.
Okay.
Any additional participants, it's an additional $100.
Okay.
If you get it now, the early entrance fee up until June 25th. June 25th, and then it goes to 675. Basically, what we want people to do is hopefully sign up a little earlier. That
Yeah.
gives us an opportunity to get a rough idea of how many boats will be participating and how much food we'll need and
Yeah.
how much
Of course.
tables and
It
everything.
needs to be
So,
organized. So, how many boats did you have last time?
last year we had 18. We've had anywhere from I want to say it was 13 to 36, depending on
Wow.
the year.
Yeah.
So last year we had 18. Year before that, we were kind of coming back. Year before that was our breaking out from COVID to do our next up because we skipped a year. So last year we were increasing. This year we hope to increase some more. And we're partnering with Snug Harbor right across the street here. And you guys will have the scales set up there for the measuring of it. And we're partnering with Moss Marina too. So if you've got a boat out there, Moss Marina is offering $50 a night to put your boat on their docks, which is
Is that good?
unheard of.
Is that
That's a
good?
good price.
So,
How long does it? So how long are they out there on the water?
So it goes off. Your microphone isn't actually working.
Oh my
it's a-
gosh, are you kidding
it's
me?
a dummy
He has-
mic.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna.
I set her up
right
for that one. So we kick everything off at 6:00 in the morning. Everybody meets out at the
Whoa.
pass. All the boats meet out. They check in with me on the judge's boat, and we sound a big air horn, and it's really kind of cool. You see 18 boats all at
Mhm.
once go from stopped to full throttle. Some of these boats are 30, 40 plus feet long. They got 4 engines on the back. They're easily doing 60 miles an hour and burning about 15 gallons a minute.
So are they keeping the fish?
So that's a good question. See, you get a good question too.
Thank you very much, Ben.
Yeah, I do what I can. See, so all of the fish.
Ben's played the game before, everybody, so that's why we don't ring the bell. He knows what the game is.
Exactly. All the fish that are donated, or all the fish that are weighed for the tournament. So if it's weighed and it's a legal fish, it's then donated to the tournament. And that night, that day and night, we have a team that comes out, volunteers and the chefs at Snug Harbor, and they fillet all those fish.
Cool.
And we use those fish the next day at the award ceremony. So you are getting fresh grouper, fresh snapper. And last year, Chef Rizzo over at Snug Harbor did an amazing job.
Yeah. He knows what he's doing.
There was 6 different variations on grouper and snapper, and he really had truly a good time with his team because they said, what do you want? What are you looking for? And I said, Rizzo, go for it. Right. And he's a very experienced chef, and him and his team put together some amazing food. So if you just want to come for the food and the awards banquet, you can also go to groupergrapple.com or any of our Facebook or social media and go on there, and it will allow you can buy tickets just for the banquet and get the fresh grouper, come and see everything, all the food and all the awards. And the day before, we're doing the weigh-in over at Snug Harbor. So a lot of people come just to see the weigh-in of all the fish.
It's like a big event.
Everything happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So do you have people that cheat?
Do we have people that cheat?
He asks that every year.
No, I don't think so.
You sure?
Am I sure? You're never 100% sure.
I mean, how can you cheat at a fishing? I mean, what would the cheating thing be? You bring a fish with you, and
you bring a fish with. I'm sure everyone who's got any sort of social media saw. I don't know if it was walleye or whatever it is. They were stuffing weights in them, and then this guy was sponsored by some big Berkeley or something, some big fishing brand, and for 2 years he was winning everything. And some guy called it on him. And he said, no, I'm not cheating. I'm not doing this. There was cameras everywhere. They took one of his fish. They opened it up, and there were literal lead weights in it.
Wow. How did he get away with that?
Because they weren't opening up the fish. But your fish are going to be opened up.
So we don't expect any cheating. We don't want any cheating. This is a charity event.
Yeah.
So if you're cheating for a charity event, there's something wrong.
There's a lot of crazy people out there.
This is true.
Not around here, of course. They're all in Wisconsin.
Of course.
Because they've invited us up
of course.
To do a
and
show
all of your Wisconsin listeners just turned off the radio.
No. So let's say Chef Rizzo is opening up the fish after they're all caught.
And he
calls Ben over and he says, Ben, this fish right here has got 15 weights in it.
Then we have a bigger problem. then we have to get out the lie detector tests. We've got a blue siren that goes off. Everybody gets in quarantine. You're all together. We interview everybody.
You're being an ass now. I was being serious.
Oh, he's being.
What happens? We would have to assess it then. We would have to find out where that fish came from.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the fish could have ate the weights. I mean, how do you know?
I'm pretty sure the fish didn't eat the weights, but then we would have to figure out where that fish came from.
Yeah. Sometimes things get stuck in the water.
Sometimes they eat plastic, which they shouldn't, and sometimes I guess they eat weights.
Yeah. So, by the way, the date of
things digress.
We didn't digress. We didn't mention
July.
the date.
Grouper Grapple is going to be July 13th through the 15th. So the 13th, we're going to have the captain's meeting where everybody gets together. It's kind of a big party, and we go over the rules. We answer any questions that people might have about it. You meet all the captains. Most of the people that participate are coming back for their 4th, 5th, 6th year.
Yeah.
It becomes one of those that everybody meets up at least once a year because you see people that fish certain tournaments. They fish this one. And then the next day at 6 o'clock in the morning, we blow the horn. Everybody goes fishing. 4 to 6 o'clock, we have the weigh-in. 4 to 6 o'clock at night, we have the weigh-in on Friday.
By 4.
They have to be back in by 6.
Oh.
Weigh-in starts from 4 to 6.
Oh, okay.
And then at 6 o'clock, we close everything down. You can still come in. You can still weigh your fish, but it just won't go for the tournament or for the winnings. And then the next day, Saturday, everybody's got the day off until the evening, and then we have our award ceremony.
Nice.
We also have a live auction, a live and silent auction, where a lot of restaurants and area locations have donated gift cards or items or trips. We have some trips. Last year, we had some really good trips to Belize, trips to Montana
Wow.
for skiing. We had some donated fishing trips from Jensen Marina last year. So we do all those in our live and silent auction. And that's another way that we collect the money for these charities.
And is it one fish, the biggest fish, or is it total number of fish on that boat?
It's a total number of fish in a species.
Okay.
So you have one fish per species that can get weighed in. That's where the planning comes in. So if you've already caught a big red grouper, say,
Yeah.
you've already caught a big red grouper, and you catch another one and it's a little smaller, that
Throw it back.
smaller one doesn't go towards anything. You're
But
more
do you
than
keep
welcome
it or
to
you throw
keep
it back? Okay.
They can keep it.
Okay.
The boat can keep it, but then it doesn't count towards the tournament.
But they can keep it and then you guys will cook it.
They can, for the tournament, if they would
wanna
like to donate
donate
it to the tournament.
Gotcha.
Because we've got, I mean, we're not just serving fish, we're serving fish and sides.
Yeah.
But with that,
What is the best side to have with a grouper?
with a grouper, a lot of people like coleslaw, but I'm
Yeah.
not a mayonnaise person.
Yeah.
I just
So
can't.
what
stand
would you
mayonnaise.
have with grouper?
Me with grouper, I think you make it simple
Yeah.
with French fries.
I see.
There you go.
What about red snapper?
Red snapper, if you can blacken it, I think it would be great. And in that case, you put a little rice with it,
Yeah.
little
sounds
Mexican
delicious.
rice and
What
some
about
beans.
tuna-
You don't even eat
what about
fish.
tuna
Why
fish?
are you asking him?
Tuna fish. Well,
Yeah.
first you have to discard the can.
Yeah.
Then after that, you cut up some chives.
Yeah.
You put those in there, maybe some boiled eggs,
Yeah.
and
What
then you
was
put
the-
mayonnaise in it.
What's
and I
the
still don't
biggest
like
fish
mayonnaise.
you've ever caught?
Biggest fish I've ever caught?
Why do you repeat all my questions?
Because
he
I
needs a
want to
minute.
process it.
Yeah, he needs a minute.
I want to
think.
process
Am I
it to
speaking
make
too
sure.
fast, Ben?
No, it's just so random and obtuse. I think people need a minute to
There-
come back
when we were
around.
Obtuse.
When we-
She went through the thesaurus there.
Yeah.
And was like,
Well, she went to
obtuse.
college, and I
Yeah,
didn't. That's
well,
the
there you
difference.
I caught a American stingray one time up in North Florida that had a 6.5-foot wingspan. And that was a couple hours because stingray, if you've ever caught a stingray, they'll kind of, I don't want to say suction because that's not what they do, but when they get in the sand, they kind of flap their wings.
They hunker down.
and they hunker down. So it's tough to get them up. They're fun to catch though.
what do
Did
you
you-
do with that though?
I took a picture of it. I smiled and I let him go. Some
Yeah.
people, and this was an old Florida thing. I don't know if they do it anymore, but some people will actually, like you fillet a fish, they will fillet the wings and they'll use a cookie cutter and they'll stamp them out. And that used to be what they called bay scallops.
No kidding.
Huh.
Look
A
at
long
that.
time ago.
Wow, that was an interesting lesson that I'm going to
Wow.
completely forget right after the show.
Is he being
So-
obtuse?
So, so
He's being
Ben,
irritating.
Oh, okay. All right.
when you caught, how big? What did that fish weigh?
Oh, I didn't have the
What do you
facilities
think? What do
to
you
weigh
think
him.
it weighed?
What do I think he weighed? Probably
500 pounds.
Nah, I wouldn't say that. I could pick
You could
him up.
say
I was
anything.
probably 15,
Oh wow!
and I couldn't pick him up out of the water.
Gotcha. Wow. All right. Anything else, Ben?
No, I think we're good. Keep an eye out for the opening of Tuna Skin Fort Myers Beach. We're
Yeah.
still working on it. We're shooting for as many places around here. Everybody's kind of shooting for different times. We're trying to trying to encapsulate a lot of the grand openings of everything. So we're shooting for a fall opening.
No kidding.
September, October, November-ish. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done before that, but keep an eye out for Tuna
Cool.
Skin.
Nice.
We've still got our trailer set up, and it'll be set up most days from about 9 to 6 every night. And then we're working on our store, and then we're going to hopefully throw a party there and invite
Very
everybody over and say, hey, look at what we've done. So
Nice. Right on the other side of Times Square, basically, is where it is. It's not too far from Margaritaville, right? In that
not too
hot
far,
spot.
not too far from Margaritaville. Yeah.
Is there something you want to say
No.
to the audience,
No.
or are we good to go? All right.
She just wanted to make sure that you're invited to the grand opening.
And a special shirt. It
And-
would be
and a
nice.
Oh, here we go.
He's
know
working
what's-
on those shirts.
You know what's so funny
I
is
love the long
when you
sleeve,
did the shirts,
as you
'cause
can tell.
I pulled them out this morning, and our shirts have.
She
He had
touched me.
to put our face
It's nice.
on the
I
back.
love it when she touches me.
He had to put our face on the back of them. So when you bought the shirts over, you were like, I left it off. I was thinking of you when I left it off because I was always saying it's it's embarrassing to walk around with your big mug on the back of your shirt. So those are our fancy shirts.
Those are your fancy. Those are your church wearing
That's
shirts.
right.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Ben. Ben Duval, everybody,
Thank
from
you, guys.
Tuna Skin. We appreciate you. Always great guests. So, all right, before we get to our next segment, we're going to talk to Scott Allan about many things. I want to let you know about Valerie's Lounge and Liquors. Somebody in this place knows about Valerie's. They went there last night, located just on the other side of the bridge over by the Walmart. It's like a Cheers. Everybody knows your name. Valerie's Lounge and Liquors. They've been there since 2002. On Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday afternoon, they have cash bingo with progressive jackpots. And Kim tells me that means the jackpots go higher, which is pretty cool. They have trivia at the bar on Wednesday. The local band Flying Hasselhoffs plays every Thursday. Check out Valerie's Lounge and Liquors. We had them on the show a few weeks ago. Valerie's super cool, so please go over there and spend some of your hard-earned money. Jorge Barrera, everybody. Everybody knows who Jorge is. He's the #1 top producer agent in Lee County and #4 agent in the entire company out of 1,500 agents for Premier Plus Realty. With over 25 million in sales. That's a million, not 1,000. That's 25 million in sales for 2022. He has pledged to donate 10% of his commission sales until the end of 2025 to local charitable organizations. You can check out Jorge's 5-star Zillow reviews. That's right. He's got thousands of 5-star Zillow reviews. And he volunteers all the time at 820 Buttonwood. Give him a call, 239-791-9893. Doing a walk around today, you see his picture everywhere. Well, it's unfortunate that so many places are selling, but they are. And he'll take care of you. 239-791-9893. Folks, we're going to be in Wisconsin on July the 15th. We're going to miss the grouper grapple because we're going to be in Wisconsin. We're going to be at Tanner's in Kimberly, Wisconsin to do a show out there. Has anybody heard of the guy that does the Manitowoc Minute? I don't even know if I said that right. What's his name? I have his name written down somewhere. Charlie Behrens is his name. Is that how you say it? Manitowoc? We're going to try and get Charlie on the show because he's like this big, giant, popular YouTuber guy now, just doing crazy videos. So it's July 15th when we're going to be at Tanner's Grill in Kimberly, Wisconsin, which is just outside of Appleton. That's right, Kristen. Charlie Behrens. Manitowoc Minute. You got to check that out. We're going to try and get him on the show. We're actually going to try and get people that follow the show to send him messages to come on our show. He's very popular up there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Tapping the social media there?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, look at you.
All right, let's introduce our next guest, everybody. He's been on the show before. Scott Allan. Thank you, thank you. Allan Construction. He's got a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about today, everybody. That's right. The pub crawl,
Did you bring
real quick.
eggs?
The pub crawl for everybody. Scott's getting out of the camera. We put the chair specifically in a spot so you can be. There you go.
There you
You're
go.
on the camera now. Marie, just going to move the logo. You have
your gift.
All right. Let's see the gift. We're good. I'm going to move the logo. Yep.
Since I know you don't eat protein,
I don't.
we got farm fresh eggs from our farm over
Wow.
here.
Oh, wow.
So
Now, when you
Brought that for
say
you guys.
farm fresh eggs, what
Yeah,
does that mean?
Vita and I live on a property where we have about 30 laying hens, and those are fresh eggs that you can actually leave on the counter for up to 2 months, and you don't have to refrigerate them, or you can refrigerate them. But
And
they're,
so
yeah.
explain to us the different colors.
Oh, it's just a different breed of chicken. So we have our Easter egger chicken, we have our Buff Orpington, and we have our white leghorn. So different.
Now,
breeds.
you said
Foghorn, leghorn.
you said
Yeah.
hen and then chicken. Now, she's not real big on the animals, so those are two different, or they're the
No.
same kind of.
A hen's a female.
Okay,
Rooster's a male.
a
So
rooster, hen, chicken, all the same thing.
we don't
Yeah.
have any roosters. They're
Yeah.
too aggressive, sexually aggressive.
Okay, all right. So the eggs
Getting off to a great start here.
they're taste the same, like you would get from the
Oh,
Walmart.
better. Way better.
Okay,
Way
why is that?
Yeah.
You can
Isn't
see-
the yolk? It's more.
Yeah,
like
there's more nutrients.
yellow.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah,
yeah.
more organic. They're we feed them organic and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. So
They're
any-
not giving them a bunch of growth stuff.
Right. For anybody that doesn't know, I'm sure everybody knows, like the egg white is the healthiest protein that you could ever eat. And it's the best protein that you
Please
can
don't
eat.
take any advice because you don't know.
I don't know.
You're not like a doctor.
I'm not
nutritionist.
giving medical advice.
Okay.
I'm just talking about protein for
you
Jiminy
ever do the Rocky
Crickets.
thing and drink them raw?
No, I couldn't do that. But the egg white,
Have you ever done that?
Maybe in a drunken moment at one point, but
Yeah.
not recently.
that's what I want to do after I've been drinking, eat raw eggs. So what was I going to say? Does anybody know how many calories are in an egg? Oh, 100,
75
about
to
100.
80.
Well,
No,
those
no,
look
no,
smaller.
No.
Yeah, but it's more nutrient dense. So
But there's
you'll
no
probably
fat.
get
There's
more.
no fat in the yolk.
No,
It's
fat
only
yolk.
in the. There's no fat in the white. It's in the yolk.
Yeah,
right.
that's correct.
But it's
Just
healthy.
It's
Healthy
healthy
fat.
fat. That's
healthy
right.
fats.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Moderation.
So thanks for coming on, Scott, and telling us
for
all
having us.
about eggs, and we appreciate
Yeah,
that.
thanks for
All right.
coming on.
We'll
Good
see
to
you guys
see
next
ya.
weekend.
So first, let's talk about the construction company.
Yeah.
You have a construction company. You're helping people out on the island. Give us an idea of what you're doing for folks down here on the beach.
Sure. It's been a long, crazy ride so far, but Allan Development Group is the development entity that we operate with, and Bayside Building is our GC. So you'll see more of the Bayside Building name down here as opposed to Allan Development. So we designed quite a few homes after the storm that we thought would fit the rebuild design, with smaller, inexpensive homes that people were looking for. So, I was on an advisory committee early on with the beach to help through the permitting issues. That's, another challenge that's behind the beach right now, but not behind the beach. In front of the
Don't
beach
go
still.
too fast over that
Yeah.
part. But you guys, because Orlandini told me about this too, there was a group of people that seemed like it was going to be a productive group where you folks would talk about the permitting. And then John Herron, the town attorney, got involved and said it was a violation, or it could be a violation of the Sunshine Law, and you had to disband that. That sounded idiotic to me because it wasn't anybody on the council.
Yeah, super idiotic. I think that when you have some people at a table that know what they're talking about, I think you have to really embrace that, especially with the times. So when you talk violation of sunshine rule, I think that, kicking that advisory group out was kind of counterproductive to what was going on over the next few months. After
Right.
that.
And it was builders for the most part
Yeah.
that were talking about what the number one priority is on the island, and that's rebuilding.
Yeah, we had no ulterior motive of gaining leads or clients because that's not what it was about. We were actually at a very quiet table in the trailers and, we had productive talks, and it just stopped it.
Were there
After the
two
meeting.
council members there?
There were a couple council members, but
Oh,
mostly
okay.
it was
Well, maybe I should
building
take that back
department
then. Well, maybe they should have just kicked out the council members and left the town
Were they
manager
there at
in
the
there.
same time?
Well,
Well,
it was the building, there were people in the building office over there,
Yeah.
like the building official and everything. But, I don't remember seeing any, now that you mention any town council
Elected
members.
elected people is what I'm talking
I
about,
don't
not
remember
the
seeing
building
any elected
officials.
officials there at the table.
Seems like it was
Yeah.
productive then if there weren't. I mean, they wouldn't do that. This council wouldn't do that anyway.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, when you were talking about building, you said, smaller affordable homes. What kind of price range
Yeah. So
is that for down here? Because
The-
it's a different, that
Yeah.
takes off a different connotation wherever you are, right?
when you start elevating a home, it gets more expensive than a slab home. So there was a new price point that had to be introduced to the beach after all the
Mhm.
destruction. So we came up with a very cost-effective way to build a home built out of concrete on stilts. And it came to $280 a square foot. So for our 1,100 square foot model, that was $300,000. And then our 1,400 square foot model, that was $360,000. Considered affordable. Do you know how many of those we sold on the beach so far? 0. And the reason why is we talked to so many people about them, and even at that cost, they couldn't, the affordability factor wasn't there for them. So
Really?
those people, almost all of them that we've spoken to about that, have put their properties on the market to move off island. So that's what I'm seeing on the beach is, if you can't, the workforce that was down here, if their homes were destroyed or their rentals were destroyed, we're going to lose a big portion of them if
Yeah.
something's not done.
And
Bef-
that, I just
before we
want
get
to
to the
clarify
workforce-
though, that amount was for the whole,
The whole
The-
thing, the whole house, turnkey, appliances, everything, and
that with the build up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
slab underneath, and a nice home. But so we've turned into really design builders. So we've got about 20 homes right now on the beach that we're either designing or in permitting for, and they're mostly second homers. You know, they're
And they're
custom
not
builds.
360s.
No,
Nah.
no, they're closer to $300 to $350 a square foot in that range, and even higher.
Where does that turn out to be?
That
Like
turns out
$1 million
to be-
houses?
On a
He's not good
2,200
with
square
them.
foot house, you're $800,000. So it's you know, it gets expensive. Then add a pool and all that. So
When I was doing the walk around with John King this morning, you could see all the for sale signs, or you could see the empty lots, and you try and there's so many of them, Scott. They're everywhere, and you try and figure out, okay, did that person knock down their house because they're going to rebuild, or did they sell the property, and who owns the property now, and how long will there be a house in that spot? You know, in that spot, in that spot, in that spot, and what? So what are you hearing, and what are you seeing from the people? You know, you talk to a lot of people, you know, a lot of people in the community. Are people selling their property more than they're rebuilding?
yeah, we're seeing a lot of sales, and right now we're in a really bad lending market right now. So the interest rates are high, and the credit standards are tighter. You can look at a canal lot on the beach that right after the storm went from 800,000 to $1 million. They're back in the eights again. So those prices are starting to fall again. And I think people are waiting it out. I've seen a lot of people that are waiting it out. I know some people on Miramar Street and Hibiscus and all that I'm speaking to are just waiting it out to see what happens. They're not even going to put their house on the market. So add on the for sale signs to those that don't have for sale signs on them.
But
There's
will.
probably half of those people that are going to sell at some point.
Is the temp?
And can
Go
I
ahead.
just ask, so what's coming in now though is, because you were talking about interest rates, is it people that are financing, or is it cash deals?
Both, but you know, a lot of second home speculative buyers.
Right.
So you're not really seeing that family of four that's got kids that want to go to school on a $120,000, you know, household income move down to the beach. I haven't seen one of those. So, but you know, we're definitely going to see a change in demographic for sure.
So how is the permitting process going now for you? And be totally honest, please.
The permitting process is challenging. For remodels, we've actually really taken it down. We got done on island and off island. We just did our 87th remodel, and it took a toll on me. I think I look like I'm 87 years old right now, but I'm really 43.
Why is that? Why?
Because the amount of documentation that's required to show proof that you're rebuilding the house to pre-storm condition was challenging. So it was a learning curve. So I think that the intentions were there and right. It was just a learning curve from FEMA telling the beach what to do, and then the beach conveying the new rules to the builders and, you know, the admin staff and everything like that. So it took probably up until the 6th month, probably recently, to really get it down pat to where we knew how to submit a real package and, you know, hope that we could get a quick turnaround.
One of the challenges that you hear about is that the residents have never really dealt with this kind of catastrophe before with their homes, and having to get all these permits that sometimes contractors leave them hanging. I'm not saying you do, but what you know, one lady that I talked to said she's waiting and waiting and waiting, and it turned out when the town actually looked at it, the contractor didn't fill out what he was supposed to fill out, never told her. She didn't know to ask him. So how do you give residents advice on what do you need to stay on top of? You can't just say the permitting process sucks.
Right.
You have to figure out how to get in the system and understand how it works. So what do you say to the residents to help them out to stay in the loop?
Well, I think the out-of-town builders are having the biggest problems. I'm seeing a couple out-of-town builders, you know, rumored to be having some big issues because they're not familiar with that. But the owner permitting status is you can actually track that on the website. So if you go to the beach permitting website, you can follow what your builder is submitting and how it's being reviewed. And make sure that it's just in review. If it's not in review, then you have to ask your builder, when am I going to get in review? But the
okay, that's important to know.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't want to make this sound crazy or something, but you say to people you should go on the website. It's not that easy to navigate that website. Like some of these folks are going to need help to navigate the website. Yeah, I can't figure it out. I have to have somebody help me.
I wish that on the very front upper fold of the website, on the homepage of Fort Myers Beach Building Department, they would put a link to that portal to track your own
permitting for the permitting.
I have a hard time. I yell up to my assistant Heather all the time. Heather, how the hell do I get on this thing?
Yeah. So go ahead. You were saying to make sure you're in review. That's the first step. Somehow make sure you're in review.
Make sure you're in review.
Because that means.
Yeah. What does that mean?
It means that it's in review. So first it goes to the Fort Myers Beach, zoning department, and they make sure that you're above flood or under flood, and then they process that. And then it moves on to the East Coast, a third party company that reviews the plans. So that's another challenge. So you have people that probably never stepped foot on Fort Myers Beach reviewing your documents for Fort Myers Beach. So that's where, and it's not the beach's fault. I mean, it's well, maybe in the way past it should have been addressed, but it's hard to put that together now after the storm for Dan and town council. It's hard to really put that together now. So because of the inaction of previous administrations and town council, I think that's where we are right now. Like Lee County unincorporated Lee County does not have this problem.
Well, plus, if you're going to be government light, this is the result of what happens when you have a major catastrophe. You are government light. You don't need government light now. You need all hands on deck to figure out how people can get their permits. Yeah. And I didn't know they were sending those things off to a third party, and it's not something that's handled right here. I mean, I don't know if that's good or bad.
Well, let's talk about commercial for just a second.
Let me just ask one question. When it says in review, that means for the homeowner that they can be assured that the builder's gotten their. It's not on the builder's side that they're waiting, that they've gotten all the information in that they need, and so it's being reviewed.
Correct. So if it's been submitted and it's in review, there's a 100% chance that that Fort Myers Beach is going to kick it back with a rejection, what's called first round of comments. We're missing this, we're missing that.
Okay.
So you have to follow those steps and see when it's rejected and why it's rejected, and make sure your builder understands what he needs to do to resubmit the documents that are missing.
So people really need to take control of this. I mean,
or else it'll take forever. Yeah, absolutely.
It is taking forever.
It's challenging for builders.
So when they're, it sounds like you're getting rejected at the beginning.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the homes that are 50% under the 50% rule. It's rebuild.
Correct.
For the most part. So when you get rejected the first time, you going to the bottom of the pile?
No, normally what happens, and I hope that it's actually been working out to where once we were rejected, which takes up to 30 days, finally we get in review, then 30 days we get our round of comments rejection, then we resubmit, which could take 7 to 10 days if you're working hard to resubmit those documents. Then it typically takes about 1 to 2 weeks for that to turn around. So you're probably looking 45 days if everything goes perfectly.
Yeah. How bad is the supply chain and the getting the products and the cost of the products to rebuild
and folks to work and employees and stuff?
Well, the cost of construction, we don't lock ourselves into a price guaranteed contract until the permit's issued, because the prices continue to change. 8% increase on HVAC just last month. Roofing materials have gone up. Steel has gone up, which is for either metal roofs or your rebar and your concrete. So, but then other things come down like lumber and all that kind of stuff. So thank God for lumber that came down, right after COVID. So, that's kind of saving it. But, from a commercial standpoint, the buildings that need anything over a 600 amp panel, which are several, it's right now it's an 18 to 20 month lead time on those.
Wow.
So, on a commercial, it's a little bit more challenging. So I'm looking at Nervous Nellies over here, and, I know the guys, and we actually put a proposal together for it, and it was a tough deal. And then Trey and Amy over at Tuckaway, we made a really strong effort to rebuild that under the 50% rule, and we just couldn't do it.
Oh, is that why? Yeah. I mean, I know they're selling the property to the folks that own the Whale, but originally they had planned to rebuild because they thought they were under the 50% rule, but it sounds like after further review, maybe they weren't.
Yeah, there was a lot. Commercial's complicated. You really have to be with a commercial builder that's experienced with that stuff to do it, because you have to provide the town and the fire department the electrical, the plumbing, and the mechanical, and the plans and energy calculations. And for a typical residential builder, it's like, whoa, where do I even start there?
Why do you think the Whale has not started their construction yet? There's no hammers. This place should be buzzing with construction work, don't you think?
Engineers and designers are backed up. So if you need modifications, they're going to be a little bit challenging. Then you have the permitting review process. For commercial, I think it's going to be several months permitting to get from front to finish. So, but I don't know what their status is, but once construction starts, materials, supply chains aren't an issue right now, except those big commercial panels. We've got great relationships with the suppliers, so we're in a pretty good spot. So
before we
get into
something else, there was the council met, and they're talking about these different size lots, these hexagrams or octograms or parallelograms, and the size of the lots and the setbacks and the whole thing. And this company Homebound went in there and said that they needed to build a 32 square foot or whatever the number was. and that most builders needed to go to the number they were talking to, but he was the only one in the room. Can you explain all of this setback crap that it goes way over my head with the setbacks?
And yes, and I'm confused just listening to you
I know.
ask that question.
Well, they changed the setback for him. It seemed like they changed the setback for homebound.
I don't know. I don't know what happened with homebound, but I could tell you this, that, at 101 Hibiscus that I'm doing a parallelogram lot right on the front of Estero, I could use 5 extra feet of a setback to get, a square shaped home instead of an odd shaped home that we have to put on now. But I haven't seen or heard, and I've talked to a couple people last week, that I don't think that they changed anything on those parallelogram lots. They did change the setbacks from 15% on the sides to 7.5% on each side, or 7.5 feet on each side.
Okay.
But not that I know of. I don't think that any special treatment to builders are, because if he got special treatment, I'm going to get special treatment. And then everybody else is going to get special treatment.
But it sounded like he was building he has a certain kind of house that with a certain kind of size that everybody fits into, all the builders kind of fit into somehow, some way. So I don't know. It's sometimes it's hard to follow.
I know the local builders here, and I talk to a lot of them, and we're not having that problem.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not asked for special treatment. We know the guidelines, what we can work within. We know the setbacks. We're not trying to recreate the rules here. If anybody wants to, try to do that, they can do that, but we don't need it.
How high up are some of the houses you have to build now that were flat on the ground before?
Finished floor heights usually somewhere around 9 feet. So above, you have your AE or V12 zones, and 12 and 13. So add a foot. So whatever your virgin ground is, let's say you're 3.5 feet above sea level, and you have to go to 13, you got to be 9.5 feet finished floor height off the ground. So, which is nice because now you have an elevated home you could park under and, party under without hitting your head.
Yeah.
So
unless it was a vacation, with the vacation rentals on the bottom floor, and then now it can't be a vacation rental. That's a whole different story there where
can't do it.
Yeah.
How high can you go? Because we ask this all the time, and it seems different.
I think it's 35 feet to the roof eaves. Most of our homes are if they're 2 stories over flood, main level and upper level, we're at about 30 feet. So we're about 5 feet under the maximum of what you can go.
So really going to be 2-story.
Yeah, a lot of 2-story, but a lot of single story, a lot of, some with bigger lots have a little bit of a more sprawled out ranch style, but we are going a lot just 2-story.
What do you think of the Moss Marine idea?
I love it. I think it's going to be great. I wish him a lot of luck. And I hope that somebody, I think Compass over on San Carlos Island has agreed to do ferry service at the parking garage over there. So I think it's going to tie in Moss Marine, the walkabout all the way here down to Bayside and all the way up Old San Carlos, tying into Margaritaville. I mean, it's going to be like Key West here. So I'm super stoked about that stuff.
And Times Square, unfortunately, is going to freaking take forever because you got so many people involved in that, and they can't decide. They haven't even started planning yet.
No, they haven't started planning that, and I don't even know if anybody knows where to start on that at that point. So.
So have you heard anything about the outrigger?
I've talked to ownership about 2 months ago, and that was the last I've heard. But I did hear it's condos.
First of all, it's Grand Bay View or Grand View Bay. The ones that built that last condo unit down at Bay Beach were the ones that bought the outrigger. It hasn't closed yet, but they're talking now. I heard 13 stories.
Oh.
Wow.
Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard twice. But the mayor said he hadn't heard that. So it's hard to know until you see actual filings.
I like the original plan from the original developer that backed out, unfortunately. But the 13-story condos isn't going to sit very well with the residents.
Yeah, I mean, people are afraid of heights down here. That's what I've learned.
So you can go as high as you want down there, but on the other streets, it's got to be
I don't think you can go 13.
feet.
You're limited at 3 stories over flood right now.
Unless they give you
for everything?
Unless you get special exceptions.
Unless you unless you change
Those
the rules.
special exceptions, they create a lot of havoc.
Yeah. So the other, we will segue into the last major development that has been talked about is the Beach Baptist one. What do you think the chances are that gets passed?
I actually don't know the whole project. What I do know is that the developer that's teamed up with them wants to do a component of affordable or workforce housing to the deal. So in my view, and so back in 2016, my history of workforce housing is I spearheaded the workforce housing initiative with the Lee County School District. Because of them being feckless, they dropped the ball on that. And so I've continued discussions about workforce. I know what it costs. I know what the requirements are. I know what the percentages are. And my brother is one of the more accomplished affordable housing developers just over the bridge here. So we talk a lot about it. So in my opinion, the workforce housing just can't work on the beach. You can't make it work because you can't build it to a cost that's going to work to allow the rents to achieve your return on investment. So, and it's not even close. So I'll give you an example. Governor DeSantis just passed the SB 102 bill, which is, it's also, we also have that $1.1 billion of money from the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all sorts of incentives available for developers. To apply for that is extremely difficult to do, and not a typical developer understands how to do that. So unless he's super experienced with that, he has to get probably 50% of his construction costs through subsidies just to make workforce housing work. And I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard anything from the county or other levels that's even been discussed on the beach yet.
The one way you can make it work is if it's private property. Like, I didn't know until last Saturday that the Pink Shell next to their unit, they had their own workforce housing where their own employees were staying in units they owned that they took out of their paychecks. And that's a whole different story. I mean, that it could work that way. But we were with somebody the other night who said it will never happen on Fort Myers Beach. There will never be workforce housing on Fort Myers Beach.
There's one place that it can work on Fort Myers Beach, and that's Bay Oaks, and that'll never happen because it won't get the town's approval. So if you took the tennis courts and the basketball courts and all that, and not the pool area, but there's an area of about 3 acres or 4 acres there that you could do something there, and it came up in a discussion.
Why would it work there?
Because the land, you got big enough land, and it's set back off the beaten path, so you're not going to have too many of the not in my backyard people saying, hey, it's surrounded by residential. So I just don't think that anybody's interested in giving up Bay Oaks. So it was a kind of a non-starter.
How many units would fit there?
Probably about 120.
That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, about 120.
So what about the piece of property that the town bought behind Town Hall?
I just don't think it's big enough. You really need economies of scale to make something like this work. And 3 to 5 acres is the absolute minimum. And unless you have air rights where you can go really high, which obviously most likely won't happen here. So it's got to happen off the beach, and it has to happen with public-private partnerships. And to make affordable housing work where people on the beach, I mean, let's face it, the majority of the people that work on the beach, what do they make on their IRS forms? Maybe $35,000, $45,000 a year. Let's use that as an example for the service industry. For those people to afford market rate apartments right now, just over the bridge at Channelside or Sandoval Straits, they're paying 58% of their income towards rent. So affordable housing, where you get the subsidies, if you qualify for the workforce based on your income, it gives you 30% of your income to rent. So that person that's making $35,000 can rent a 1-bedroom unit for $900 a month, and a 2-bedroom, let's say it's a single mom and needs another bedroom for a child for $1,100. So that's truly what affordable housing and workforce housing is.
All right. So you're talking about off the island in unincorporated Lee County, which means that if that were actually to happen, everybody in the county now is eligible to come and live in that unit. People from Lehigh can live there. People from Cape Coral can live there. People from Fort Myers can live there. So it really doesn't solve the problem on the beach.
But if you're close enough to the beach, and you can't discriminate when you're on the beach. You can't just say it's for beach people. You can be off the beach and rent it. You can't discriminate in affordable or workforce housing. So if it's just over the bridge, I mean, my radius for the beach to do attainable housing is probably from here to McGregor, Summerlin, Pine Ridge. That's where it needs to start. And there's land available out there. And with the SB 102, I hope maybe there's some rich guys listening today. You can get a 30% corporate tax credit and a write-off on a donation up to $400,000 towards land if you work with a developer to, acquire land for affordable housing. So the governors really put some nice incentives in place, but also the qualifying incentives and subsidies are up to 80% of the total project cost.
Do you think that's going to be enough to move the needle on it?
Yeah.
For some people?
Okay. So now you're talking about way on the other side by Walmart or further away.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything for the people that work on the beach.
Yeah,
they're still getting in the traffic. They're still, I mean, maybe they're going to be in an apartment that is less expensive than where they are now, but they still have to sit in the traffic and get over.
Unless they do a boat ferry.
You're going to see at least 2 parking garages on San Carlos Island, is my opinion. So you're going to have 1,200 parking spaces there. So they're going to drive to the direct to the island, and then they're going to take the ferry service over here
Yeah.
instead of
Okay.
dealing with the traffic.
Where's the parking garage going to be?
Well, one's going to be at Compass Marines, right on the other
Okay.
side of where Yacht Works was.
All
and
right.
I'm told there's one in the works right now on the other side on one of the properties. So,
Very nice.
but they need it.
Well,
But,
yeah, definitely need that. But I don't know. Do you think people will get out of their habit of sitting in the traffic and driving over and parking right behind the building that they work?
That's a tough one. There is going to be a park garage, but I know the beach isn't too favorable at multiple parking garages on the beach.
Yeah.
So, I think it's just going to be kind of human nature. How much time is going to be spent in the car? There's a lot of people that work on the beach that live in North Fort Myers or
Right.
East Lee County. I
Right.
mean, it takes them an hour and a half to get here.
Right.
So,
So, and people would say when we were at Nervous Nellies, they would say, I'm losing time and $10, $30 for parking before I've even started to work.
Yeah.
So I think that they would welcome that. I mean, yeah, you have to park over there and take a ferry over, but I think
Yeah.
somebody would welcome that.
imagine the stress. And I have experience with this through the school district project that I worked. Imagine the people that live in East Lee County who are parents, single parents, doesn't matter, married parents who have kids and their kids are way out in East Lee County and they got to drive an hour and a half in traffic to get to the beach and work. And then an emergency happens with their
Yeah.
kid.
Oh,
Here's the whole
man.
thing about attainable housing. So you have that. And then they're probably paying too much anyway, way out there. It's just the cheapest that they can find.
Yeah.
So imagine if there's a cure to affordable and workforce housing where now you can get at least you're 20 minutes off the beach, but it's still a nice drive to them because these people are literally a car engine failure or a medical emergency away from a financial crisis in their life. So,
Right.
they are very stressed. So I think the workforce on the beach is going to struggle and the resorts aren't going to reach maximum potential unless we address the workforce housing.
So what's the answer?
Well, good thing we have Kevin Ruane as commissioner because that guy is he's a business genius. I've become friends with Kevin over the time because we're very similar. I understand what he wants for the island and for the county, and he's in charge of that 1.1 billion and everything. And he's going to award developers who know what they're doing affordable housing subsidies, and I think he's gonna help spearhead that. So what I think we need to do now as constituents and voters and residents is get back on the school district. And I know you guys just battled the school district, but we need to battle them again because they're the only public entity out there that owns surplus land that they can sell no problem. And it's perfect land for affordable housing. It could be rezoned into housing. And for them to come in as a partner and donate the land or do a land lease or whatever, there is a cure for that. And the school district controls it. And they have one of the worst teacher turnover problems in Florida right now. So, and the reason for that is because of attainable housing. So the school district can be their own heroes and serve a purpose to the community by doing something.
Are they
And
saying they're holding on to the land because they need to build more schools?
I don't know. We were behind a couple campaigns to, make change in those at the board of directors positions. And they have told me in their campaigns that they will address the attainable housing with the land. I've heard zero so far.
So when they get elected, they don't follow
we got to
through?
hold these people's feet to the fire.
Yeah.
And some of them become friends. And I tell them all the time, I said, you better do something. Your election's coming up pretty soon. And don't
Yeah.
ask me for a venue for a party.
Or a dime.
So start doing something.
How long would it take from now? Like when in the foreseeable future could there be affordable, attainable workforce housing?
If it started today and there was an
Mhm.
actual piece of property that had to be rezoned, it's going to be 3 years till it's built.
Okay.
That's a long time.
It's a long
But
time.
what are you going to do? There's zero now, right? You got to
What?
start somewhere.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I have seen no efforts on any level on the beach yet about bringing an experienced affordable housing developer even as a consultant to talk about it.
Yeah.
So, there's other developers like me who don't know squat about subsidies. I could talk about it. I don't know how to apply for it.
Yeah.
So there needs to be more of an effort and it needs to get louder because without them, the beach is going to have a hard time coming back to survive.
I just think the answer is there's no money in it. And there's so much value in the
Well, that's why
property in Lee
there's all-
County that people just don't care. They're not going to put their investment in that.
Yeah.
That's why there's all these incentives, though, to make it.
There's actually a lot of money in affordable housing.
Yeah.
You have to be in it for 10 to 15 years, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of money in it, believe it or
Yeah,
not.
people are flipping properties and buildings in 2 years
Yeah.
around here, 15 years.
So if you're a developer of affordable housing, and I don't know the exact definition of how it works, but you get your subsidies, right? So a $30 million project gets $25 million in incentives. So the
Wow.
developer is tied to that for 15 years. But after 15 years, all that is forgiven. So now that developer owns that. So it's a 15-year long-term.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is profitable for.
That sounds like a good deal, but
Yeah.
it seems like people love to talk about it,
Yeah.
but it really never goes anywhere.
Well, that's why the residents have to get on the public entities. The public entities can help, and right now they're sitting on their hands.
What did you think of Bill Veach's idea of buying church property and putting affordable housing or workforce housing on that property, and then helping the churches rebuild a smaller church?
Because I don't think the property is big enough. I think even if there was an assemblage of owners that assembled 4 acres of property right there, you're going to still have people in the town that are going to say, not in my backyard.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be a long fight.
Right. Is there any, other than Bay Oaks, do you see, with what you know of the beach, any other place that it might be even possible?
Nope.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
There you go.
But it needs to happen because these resorts are already in design and planning right now, and they're going to come into permitting pretty soon, and the next 12 months, and then in 3 years, if we don't cure that housing crisis, then who are they going to?
Right.
We're going to have waiting. We're going to have what's similar to COVID, the waiting lines at the restaurants because they're understaffed. And
I mean, how many employees at Margaritaville alone? It's hundreds.
Hundreds.
Right.
Yeah.
350, I think.
Wow.
So
Did we miss anything? The building, the permitting,
Building,
the workforce
permitting.
housing.
my whole thing here wasn't even to promote my houses or anything like that.
Well,
but
please
to
do.
basically,
Please do.
And I'd love to. But I really think that's important for the beach to stay on top of the school district, to stay on top of the public entities, the elected officials here, to make sure that they bring in the right people to talk about attainable housing, because it's going to be, I'm seeing it over here, just over the bridge. I've got a really good labor force with my company, but I have to pay guys $25 an hour where I used to be paying $15 an hour.
Okay.
So, we need to stay on it.
And we will have the folks that are the new president of the Sanibel. Sanibel has a very successful workforce housing situation over there. And we're going to have the new president of that group on in 2 weeks. So that'll
But
be
that's
interesting
been in
to see.
existence.
Yeah, they've had that for a long time.
Mhm.
And I think what somebody told me was they made that part of, like, they put it in the charter or something, like
Yeah.
they were hell bent on doing it over there, and they
Mhm.
and they did it's a different situation over
Right.
there for sure.
Yeah,
So-
I think the governor and the federal government, between the two, has given us enough money to make it. Now it's on us.
Mhm.
There's nothing more that the government can give us. So we've got availability to subsidies. Now we have to figure out how to use it.
Trump or DeSantis?
Oh, you want to talk about politics?
I think
I'm
I'll
just going to
take it.
ask the questions. I'm not going to offer an opinion anymore.
I need until November.
Oh, come on. Trump or DeSantis?
Oh boy, it's a tough one, but everybody knows that I'm a very big Trump supporter. I think there's a lot of things that are just so confusing right now, but I love our governor, and it's a tough spot to be in right now.
You think Trump could be a good president from behind bars?
No,
That
but
was
we'll see if
crazy.
it gets there. I mean,
This
you got
whole
Supreme Court.
indictment thing was pretty crazy, though. The last few days have been really crazy. Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure he'll become more popular because of it.
Yeah.
It just seems
Yeah.
every time he gets indicted, he gets his
It's a banana
poll numbers
republic
go up, so-
we live in. It
For
really
sure.
is. It really,
For sure.
really is.
Well, thanks so much, Scott, for coming on. Big hand for Scott Allan, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Please, if
Good
you need
weekend.
somebody to build your house, call Scott Allan for sure. Thank
And
you
if
so much,
need
Scott.
eggs,
And if you need eggs, he's got hens and roosters and crows, and they're all laying eggs. All right, everybody, before we go, we do want to reiterate what's going on with the pub crawl, so don't leave yet. I know you all want to go swim in your pool. But before we do that, we need to thank our sponsors, including Liberty Roofing, because at some point you're going to build a house, or you're rebuilding your house now, and it needs a roof, because the roof keeps the rain out, keeps the snow out, it keeps the bird crap out. Because if you don't have a roof on your house, the birds are crazy down here. And that's the last thing you want when you're sitting in a bubble bath, is a bird flirting over your house and, doing its business. So give Patrick McKenna a call at Liberty Roofing at 439. That's 401-439-9585. 401-439-9585. There's going to come a time where you might need money, everybody. And ATM Mortgage wants to know if it's time for you to do a little home improvement. ATM Mortgage offers lines of credit and rehab loans for the simple or the complex project. If you need a new roof, if you want to fix up your dock, or maybe if you want to update your kitchen, no problemo. Throw a little Spanish in there. Fort Myers resident Kim Henderson is here to help 7 days a week. You can reach Kim at 239-849-6999, or you can go online on that internet webby thing and type in atmmortgage.net. That's atmmortgage.net. Kim Henderson of ATM Mortgage. Thank you all for sponsoring the show. You guys are killer. The Whale sponsored our walk around. Kim's bike tomorrow is sponsored by Remove It Pros. Got sponsors everywhere. Are you talking to your boyfriend on the phone, or can you come and finish the show? We want to tell you where we're going to be next week for the day before Father's Day pub crawl, which is Saturday because Father's Day typically falls on a Sunday. Who are you texting? I notice sometimes you go behind my back and you get your phone out and you're doing.
Do you really want me to go on a rampage about this bed situation?
Oh no, please, dear.
We've been waiting over a month for this bed to get delivered. I don't know. If this doesn't end well, I'm going to tell you guys who not to get your furniture from because.
Well, I can tell you where not to get your brakes fixed, and that's Firestone. Don't ever go to Firestone if you need brakes because they suck the big egg or the little egg. So next weekend, we're going to start here at Wahoo Willie's at 12 o'clock. We're going to try and keep this to half-hour intervals. I know it's going to be impossible, but that's what the goal is because, you know, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be hot,
Right.
and there's going to be drinking involved. So we want you guys to pace yourself, have fun. Part of the goal is to meet people. You want to kibitz with people, talk to people, you know, tell your stories, hug,
Although that's
do some hugging, things like that.
close. I mean, it's not a lot of walking.
No, we tried to keep it close. PD's Upper Deck is going to be at 12:30. The Yucatan at 1 o'clock. La Ola at 1:30. The Lighthouse at 2 o'clock. Rude Shrimp at 2:30. And the Whale at 3. Now, you don't have to come at the beginning. You could just join us at La Ola at 1:30. You could jump in at the end.
Right.
And we're going to do a 50-50. You don't have to register. We're going to do a 50-50 raffle at each location. Now, if you do want to register for a raffle and you're in Wisconsin or Chicago, you can go on to our website, the Beach Talk Radio News website, and you can buy tickets on PayPal. And we'll put your tickets into the kitty. And if you win the money, you win the money. We'll send you the cash in the mail. Can you send cash in the mail?
I don't know if that's a good idea.
We'll send you a check in the mail.
We'll get it to you.
Yeah. So
that'll deliver it.
That's next Saturday. What was the other event? Oh, we're having a follower appreciation party at the Pink Shell Pool. It's a pool party, and that's going to be Sunday, June 25th. And you can buy you have to buy a pass, a day pass, and that's on our website too. It's the $20 for the day pass.
Or
and
you could rent a room there. And,
yeah. It's going to be a great day of just hanging out again. We want to spend some money at a local business. We want everybody to hang out and talk to each other and have a good time. And then we're going to Wisconsin on July 15th for the show, but we'll talk about that at another time. By the way, everybody, Mondays with the mayor is 4 o'clock Monday. This week only, it's 4 o'clock. Dan's got an important dinner he has to go to with some bigwigs. So we got pushed back to 4 o'clock. So if you have any questions, you can send them in and we'll pass them along to the mayor. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for coming. Thanks to Scott and to Ben and to everybody that buys our gear. You can also buy us a cup of coffee if you want by going to buykimandedcoffee.com. I know you're trying to get out of here. I don't think there's any oil left in my vehicle, so hopefully
I brought oil.
Make it back.
I brought oil and brake fluid, so you're set.
Right. We'll see you all Monday. Bye-bye.